Okay, dear all. So my name is Marko Kohtamäki and this is Strategy Work Course, and now we go quickly into the topic of dynamic capabilities. So what are dynamic capabilities? What is meant by dynamic capabilities? They are the means by which organization has the ability to renew and recreate its strategic capabilities to meet the needs of changing environments. So these dynamic capabilities are capabilities of renewal, reconfiguration. They are something that are utilized to renew those strategic or core capabilities. And so these dynamic capabilities aim to the future. So they are central when a firm is trying to renew its capabilities or competencies. Let's say Nokia mobile phones was sold to Microsoft. That was an act of reconfiguration, and when Nokia did this, it was renewing its resource base and reconfiguring its resource base. And firms differ in terms of this type of dynamic capability. So some companies have higher level of dynamic capability than others. Google could provide an example of company which may have significant dynamic capabilities. It's known for capacity of renewal. It's known for its capability to renew its operations. Huge number of mergers and acquisitions, alliances, continuously buying new companies, shutting also companies down, kind of continuously reconfiguring its resource base. So in contrast to regular, ordinary strategic capabilities or core capabilities, dynamic capabilities aim to the future. So core capabilities, strategic capabilities are generating competitive advantage, part of the order delivery process, are enabling customer value creation from resources and competencies, so that the processes sustain competitive advantage, have some core capability, but dynamic capabilities aim towards the future. And recent studies, TEAS 2009, 2007, use this type of division of or dimensions of dynamic capabilities. So it's a process with three main dimensions: sensing, seizing, and reconfiguring. Sensing references to scanning and exploring the business environment, scanning new opportunities from markets, trying to find new technologies, R&D, market research, continuously trying to sense what's happening in the future and how our firm should adapt to those changes in the environment. Seizing is about addressing the found, sensed opportunities by initiating new product development processes, developing operational processes, developing activities to grasp those changes that we find when we scan the environment. And then finally, reconfiguring capabilities reference to changes that are needed in capabilities, investments that are needed in new technologies, to renew the resource base, to renew the organization, to renew the resource base, to implement organizational changes. So sensing, seizing, and reconfiguring. Sensing as constant scanning, seizing as addressing the opportunities by developing products and processes, and reconfiguring as reconfiguring of processes through renewal and reconfiguring of resources and capabilities. Investments into new factories, investments into new product development units, investments into new firms. Sensing, seizing, and reconfiguring. These are the three core processes within dynamic capabilities, three main dimensions of dynamic capabilities. The next picture in the next slide will describe a little bit differently the process, and it uses a little bit different name from the third dimension, transforming. Here in the outer surface, you have kind of more broad overall strengths, for instance, global network, brand recognition, manufacturing, R&D, etc. Then here it is pictured so that at the second layer we have core capabilities or strategic capabilities, development of productivity, improvement of tools, quality improvement, total quality management, TQM, ability to adapt skills from partners, competitors, other industries, historical resource deficit, managers frugal while increasing quality, and most importantly, at the core layer, at the core of this circle, is where the evolution emerges from. It's where the evolution radiates from. So we have the dynamic capabilities. We have sensing, incorporating different perspectives, continuous scanning, continuous search for new technologies, changes, new business opportunities, seizing governance mechanisms, how the change processes, how the processes are being managed in order to grasp the sensed opportunities, what type of organization we are utilizing to continuously productize for new business opportunities, internal marketplace, for instance, best ideas win, and then how do we converge ideas, and how do we, through the markets, internal markets, how do we govern these internal processes? How do we integrate and converge the ideas into products and process development initiatives? So sensing, seizing, and then as the third dimension in thesis picture, in thesis idea, it was reconfiguring. Cummings and Angwin coin it, name it as transforming. So what type of transformative transition processes take place? What type of changes are made based on the sensing and seizing? How do we implement organizational learning in practice? How knowledge is being shared? How knowledge is being documented and exploited, etc. So different kind of layers. At the core, we have the renewal, sensing, seizing, and reconfiguring, or sensing, seizing, and transforming. Then as a second layer, we have the core capability, the strategic capability, How do we serve customers? How our resources and competencies are organized to generate competitive advantage. And then at the surface level, we have the organization, our distribution network, our basic resources, basic competencies, which we are utilizing to generate capabilities. And then we have, of course, different types of practices or mechanisms to enable capability development. So how do we develop strategic capabilities? How do we develop capabilities internally, first of all? Building and recombining capabilities. How do we continuously build new capabilities, develop new capabilities, recombine processes and activities differently so that perhaps we can generate new capabilities? So what's the quality and ability of our organization to reconfigure continuously and learn new capabilities? How do we leverage capabilities? How do we utilize our existing capabilities in one part of the organization? Are we able to spread the capabilities in other parts? Are we able to spread those best practices or capabilities, good practices into other parts of organization? Can we share knowledge and share capabilities in order to develop new ones within organization over the department boundaries, or over the divisional boundaries, over the team boundaries? Leveraging and stretching. How can we stretch our capabilities to develop new product services out from our existing capabilities? We have certain technologies, we have certain competencies, certain types of tools. How do we leverage those skills for new products and services? And then, in addition to that, of course, external capability development. How do we add capabilities through mergers and acquisitions or alliances? How do we work with external companies, external players? How do we do acquisitions? Can we utilize acquisitions by companies to add something to our capability base, to bring in effectively, quickly new resources for creating new value? Seizing activities. How good at we are in terms of seizing, I mean stopping, outsourcing activities to reduce costs. Of course, one of the key activities, very difficult for companies to reduce costs and actually stop doing something that is not efficient or which is not viable anymore. How do we monitor outputs and benefits? How do we follow up targets? How do we manage the organization? Are we able to manage the value creation processes, the value creating processes with the customer? And how are we able to capture the value from those customer relationships? Monitoring and evaluation, follow-up is one of the most important practices in management. And still, we often see that it's neglected in companies. And finally, awareness development, identifying important points which support strategy implementation. Training, development, organizational learning are key issues, very difficult always to implement. So considering as strategic activities those that enhance organizational learning and innovation. Thank you. This was the short lecture on dynamic capabilities.